Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, am I audible? Those who are joining online?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, it is streamed now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So it is streamed?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. So we'll begin with the prayers. So please join me. Fold your hands and we'll chant. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Bhasha Dadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees, those who are joining online as well as in person. Thank you for joining in. So today we'll be discussing a very important section from Srimad Bhagavatam. And as many of you already know that we are celebrating this very important festival on the upcoming Thursday, which is 4th of May, Narasimha Jayanti. So as we know, Narasimha is one of the incarnation of Krishna. And in our tradition, Prabhupada has established the worship of Narasimha, prayers to Narasimha, very importantly. In fact, in our temples, whenever we do any arti, either it is morning Mangala Arti, or it is afternoon Arti, or it is evening Arti, we always chant the Narasimha prayers. It was in one time, initial days of when Prabhupada was starting the movement. I think it was around some 1969. So in one of the temple in America, when the devotees are planning to conduct a Rath Yatra, so some people, some unknown people, they came and they threw one small bomb. So there was attack on devotees, and then devotees were concerned. And then they informed Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada introduced Narasimha prayers. Say that Narasimha was Krishna himself, but this mood of Krishna in this particular form as Narasimha is in the mood of protection, the mood of protecting his devotees. So that is when Prabhupada introduced this Narasimha prayers and taught the devotees that we should every day chant Narasimha prayers and pray to the Lord for the protection. Right? So it's very, very important. So that is how we pray. This is Narasimha prayers. Sri Narasimha, Jaya Narasimha, Jaya Jaya Narasimha, Praladesha Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. So he is Pralad Isha. He is the Ishwar of Pralad. Of course it is. He is the Ishwar of all of us. But specifically, this particular form has appeared for Pralad. Right? So that is how we should pray. So we can chant this prayer every day, and you can learn even the whole Narasimha Arti. It's a small one. Those who are new to all this, so you can learn all this. So just to give you the background of from where this pastime is coming. So this Narasimha pastime is okay. So this is from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And probably it is one of the longest section in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you see in the 7th canto, it contains 15 chapters. Out of 15 chapters in the 7th canto, 10 chapters exclusively talk about Narasimha's pastime, which makes it the longest portion of any pastime. Like in fact, in the 10th canto, you see the Krishna Leela, a lot of different pastimes of Krishna. Some around 90 chapters are there. But in that also, the cream, the essence of the whole 10th canto is Ras Panchadhyaya. Like the 5 chapters which talks about Ras Leela, which is not recommended for an ordinary person to read and discuss, unless somebody is on some level to understand Krishna. So even, which is the essence of the whole Bhagavatam, is 10th canto. And if we say the essence of the whole 10th canto is Rasa Panchadhyaya, you see there also there are 5 chapters. But here you see the 10 chapters of Narasimha. Okay. So, bro, I think you should just see the temperature. I think it is too hot here for the people. Just turn on the AC or something. Sorry. Yeah. So how does this begin? It's a very interesting story, and we'll be talking about the story, and not only the story, but the wonderful past, wonderful life lessons and the insights what we can learn from this story. So it is going to be very, very interesting. Just pay a little attention, and we'll learn a lot of lessons. So the whole discussion, how it came into the discussion in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 7th canto. So it begins with, as we know, the Bhagavatam is the conversation between Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Right. So the Parikshit Maharaj asked the question to Shukdev Goswami, that looks like Lord is partial. Right. That was the question. Is Lord partial? Because it seems like the Supreme Lord, he takes the side of the demigods all the time, the devotees. So he always favors the devotees. So he should not be partial. And in fact, in the Bhagavad Gita also, in the 9th chapter 9.29, Krishna says, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name deshosti na priyaha. So Krishna declares that I am Samoham sarva bhuteshu. I'm equal to everyone. I doesn't envy anyone. I doesn't favor anyone. So that Parikshit Maharaj is asking, looks like Lord is partial. Right? So can you resolve this? Can you explain this? So in response to this Parikshit Maharaj, he quotes one incident from Mahabharata. He says that in the Rajasuya Yajna, so the lesson number 1, whenever there is any doubt, any question, any confusion, how to resolve this? This is a very, very important lesson for all of us, especially those who are interested in progress in the spiritual life. So life's question need answers from a bona fide guru. So the Parikshit Maharaj is having the doubt, looks like Lord is partial, but then he put forth his question to Shukdev Goswami and he explains. So he says, when Yudhishthir Maharaj performed the Rajasuya Yajna, right? So in that Rajasuya Yajna, something interesting happened there. Right? What happened? He says, so he's quoting actually, this is now basically the Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So Shukdev Goswami is quoting incidents between Narad Muni and Yudhishthir Maharaj from the Rajasuya Yajna. So he says, so when Yudhishthir Maharaj was performing the Rajasuya Yajna, so in that the Shishupal was there. Now just to give a little background of this Shishupal, Shishupal has been right from day 1. He took birth. He has been very, very envious to Krishna. Right? And there is a reason. So the Shishupal, when he was born, he was not like ordinary child. He was very awkward child. So then people were wondering, he was having 4 hands. So they're wondering like what kind of a child he is with the 4 hands. So then there was an aerial voice. They say that in the presence of someone who will kill this child in the future, when he encounters that person, he meets that person, presence of that person, the 2 hands will disappear. So they were a little curious that who is that person that. So it's a good sign that his 2 hands will disappear, but it is a bad sign also. That person will kill him in the future. So one time Yashoda Mai and the Krishna, when they visited, so when Krishna happens as a small baby, happens to see Shishupal, suddenly his 2 hands disappears. So everybody got the clue. Everybody got the hint that it is Krishna who will kill this Shishupal in the future. So then the mother of Shishupal requested Krishna and Krishna's mother that please don't do this. So Krishna also says, okay, I'll not do this. I'll never kill. But my only condition is that he should not abuse me too much. I know he's going to abuse me. And I can tolerate up till 100 abuses. But beyond that, I'll not tolerate. So that is the condition put forth. So everybody knew. Even Shishupal also knew. And Shishupal has been very, very systematic in abusing Krishna. This is how the demons are. Right? Though he was given the warning that don't abuse Krishna. But he has been abusing all through his life. He has been always having the ill intentions, bad intentions. But very systematic, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 99, stop. Should not touch 100. Right? But one time, it so happened that in the Rajasuya Yajna, he lost his composure. And he became so blinded by his anger, and not anger actually, he was very envious of Krishna. So he got so covered by his enviousness toward Krishna, he forgot the count. This is what happens. All this negative or these vices, they make you blind. So he knew that I can be killed, and he knew very well that Krishna is powerful enough to kill me. But despite all of this, he goes on, abusing Krishna, and then he forgot the count and he crossed 100. And then he was killed right there in the whole assembly of so many exalted personalities there. And then Krishna released his Sudarshan Chakra. And then Shishupal was killed. So when he was killed with the Sudarshan Chakra, his head was chopped off. So then everyone in the assembly could see that his soul comes out and merges into Krishna. It means it was indication that Shishupal got deliverance. So now Shukdev Goswami is quoting this incident, that if Lord is partial, then Lord, how and why he would even deliver a person like Shishupal? He was being always very envious. So Lord is not partial. Actually, Lord is equal to everyone, including his own enemies. Or those who envies Krishna, even he delivers them also. So then he is quoting this verse and is explaining this. So this beautiful verse comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam with the 7th kind of a chapter. So this is another important point for all of us to understand and remember, that Lord can be attained by absorption. This is the secret. This is the nature of the Lord. Anyone who remembers, who is absorbed in Krishna, then Krishna doesn't see that he is my enemy or he is my devotee. Right? And this verse is there. Gopyat kamat bhayat kamso dvesha chaya dayo nipaha sambandhat vrishnaya sneha dhyuyam bhaktya vayam vivo. So it's quoting. He says, anyone who is absorbed in remembering Krishna, he can be delivered. So gopis, multiple examples. So the gopis were remembering Krishna, they are infatuated by, attracted by Krishna by lust. So when gopis, young gopis, when they see Krishna, Krishna is a very beautiful young boy, and they get fascinated. But as soon as they come in touch with Krishna, in close contact with Krishna, they get purified. So out of lust, somebody is trying to reach the Lord, they will be delivered, they'll become purified. Then another example is Kamsa. Now Kamsa, out of fear, he was constantly in fear. And out of fear, he was always remembering Krishna, 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 Krishna. Sitting, eating, sleeping, walking, all the time he's remembering Krishna. So this fear gave him the absorption, right? And Kamsa got delivered. Somebody out of lust, somebody out of fear, someone who is envious like Shishupal. So he was always thinking of Krishna. He was always looking an opportunity to abuse Krishna. That was thinking. But that made him to think of Krishna, remember Krishna. So Shishupal got delivered. And then Yadus, they're always there like family members. So they are naturally in, affection with Krishna. So they'll always remember Krishna. So they were all blessed. And then he says, Narad Muni is quoting this verse. He says, the devotees like us, we naturally remembers Krishna. So we are also blessed. So you see all varieties of people, Krishna blesses all of them. So Krishna is not partial. That was the question, right? So Krishna is not partial, he is equal. So now Prabhupada, in this purpose, if you read carefully, Prabhupada explains, yes, it is okay to, if somebody remembers the Lord out of enviousness or lust, fear, but one should still make sure that one remembers the Lord favorably. Anukulasya Krishnanu Silinam. So Krishna should be remembered and worshipped favorably. Though somebody is unfavorable, somebody is envious, still he will be benefited, but this is not recommended. Right? So this is how this begins. Now, so when this has been explained, the Narad Muni is explaining to Yudhishthir Maharaj that how he got delivered, all of that. So then he says, who is this Shishupal that who got delivered like this? Yudhishthir Maharaj is asking. So then there is a background story of Shishupal. I'll need the charger. Actually, it is running low battery. I don't know how you'll set it up. Sorry. So who is Shishupal? So now there is a story of Shishupal. So one time, this 4 Kumara, the 4 sons of Brahma, they went to the Vaikuntha Lok. They're all liberated souls. They could just travel through like that. So when they're trying to enter into the Vaikuntha Dwar, so these 2 doorkeepers, Jaya and Vijaya, so they were there and they stopped them. They said, you cannot enter here like that. There's certain qualification is needed, so you cannot enter. So they got quite furious, the four Kumaras. So when they got furious, so they kind of cursed the Jaya and Vijaya. They said, why, who appointed you to be here as doorkeeper? You don't know how to treat the people. So they were angry and they cursed Jaya and Vijaya. Say, you are not fit to be here in the Vaikuntha, so go to Mrityulok. Right? And then they came to the senses, they begged forgiveness, that Brahmanas, please forgive us. Don't curse us like that. Then they considered their request and they says, okay, so you go, you will take 3 birds and then you will come back. Right? And then we read Bhagavatam carefully, then we understand it was all Krishna's plan. So Lord's plan is, Lord wanted to have some pastime like that. So this Jaya and Vijaya, they've been cursed by 4 Kumaras. And when they were cursed, they came in 3 different incarnations, 3 different lives. So in the first life, they became, what they became? They became Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh. In the second life, they became Ravana and Kumbhakaran. In the third life, they became Shishupal and Dandavakra. So that was the background of this Shishupal. Okay. So when he was explaining all this, then it came to Hiranyakashipu also. So when he was explaining that, Lord killed Hiranyaksha, then his brother became so furious that he was constantly, it's not coming here. Not sure, this side. Okay. So, yeah. So when Hiranyaksha was killed by the Lord, Hiranyakashipu was furious. And then he became the enemy of the Lord. And then he was explaining that he wanted to kill his own son. So then naturally there is a curiosity. And why somebody becomes so envious or so inimical to his own son? Why wanted to kill his own son? So then there is a story begins. Okay. So we see here Hiranyaksha killed by Varahadev. So we are not getting in the story of why Hiranyaksha was killed by Varahadev, but just to understand that. So then when he was killed, Hiranyakashipu was furious. And he went around in search of Vishnu. He says, where is Vishnu? I want to kill Vishnu. And he was searching without realizing that who is Vishnu. And he was going around and he sent all his demonic associates. He says, go and create the disturbance in the whole universe. He was very powerful demon. So he sent all the demons there, and then the demons are going and they're creating disturbance. Wherever there is a Brahmanas, wherever there is devotees, and the cows are being worshipped and all of that, he says, go to all those places and create the disturbance. So we need to understand from the pages of Bhagavatam that this worship of the Supreme Lord and then performance of yajna, worship of cow, it creates a perfect ecosystem for the society to advance spiritually. So these demons, they always attack on all those things. They just make sure that these things should not flourish. Right? Because if these things will flourish, then this demigods becomes more powerful and the demon cannot survive. They cannot sustain. Okay, just 1 second. Sorry for all this disturbance. I'm just checking whether it is on charge. No, it is not getting charged. Yeah, not a charge. So, sorry. He sent all these people and they're creating the disturbance to all the Brahmanas, all the sacrifices happening, the cows being worshipped. And then he goes and tries to pacify his family members. So why people do all this, creating disturbance? Because sometimes people don't understand about the Lord. Right? They don't know what is Lord, and so they think that my ego is important. So then after doing all this disturbance, he says, let me go to my house and pacify the wife of Hiranyaksha and the son of Hiranyaksha and his mother. So he goes there, and then Hiranyakashipu, who is a great demon, is talking big philosophy, preaching them, saying, don't worry, we are not the body, we are the soul, and all that. So the point is, the demons also talk the big philosophy. It sounds like If you don't know who is talking this philosophy, if you don't know the face of the person, sounds like Krishna only speaking Bhagavad Gita. I talk like that. Krishna is also saying you're not the body, you're the soul. Hiranyakashipu is talking all this. And then he's saying this family relations, they're like, the people come in a restaurant to eat together and after that they'll disperse. This is like a lot of, straws. With one wave, they come together, all the straws get together, and with the second wave, they all disperse. So this is how the family is. So don't worry too much about all of that. He was a great soul, was a great personality, very powerful. So you should feel, great about his sacrifice like that. So he was trying to pacify. So the point what we understand from here is another takeaway, that spiritual knowledge is for transformation, not for information. A lot of people know the information. You can read Bhagavad Gita, you can quote the verses, you can tell the stories. Even Kamsa was giving the philosophy, right in the beginning. You see. So all these people, they talk big philosophy, but what is their conduct? That is important. So it's all about how much we practice. It's not about what we can talk and what we can practice. So Jarasandha was also giving philosophy to Rukmi. You see in the Bhagavatam, Kamsa was giving the philosophy. So the purpose is to experience and then experience of purification of heart, mind, thought process, not just simply talking. So all of us, we all come together, we hear all, we participate in this discussion. It's important. But after that, how much we practice, that is even more important. It's very nice to hear all these stories, pastimes, sessions, classes, but how much we are able to practice. So spiritual knowledge is for transformation, not for information. Okay. So after pacifying all this, Hiranyakashipu goes for austerity. Says, okay, I also want to get the power like Brahmaji. So you understand Brahmaji is the creator. He is the first created being, the most powerful person in the universe. I want to become like Brahma. So he goes and performs the austerities. And he performs very severe austerities. Those austerities being explained in the Bhagavatam 7th canto, you can read. Like not the ordinary person cannot even imagine that somebody can do this kind of austerity for many hundreds and thousands of years. Right? And then all the demigods, Brahmaji, including Brahmaji, everybody got concerned. What will happen? He is just doing all this austerity, become powerful, and once he becomes powerful, he create the disturbance for all of us. Right? So they go and inform Brahmaji. And they go and say, Brahmaji, you should do something about that. And Brahmaji was also helpless. Says, what can I do? He is doing austerity, I cannot disturb him. Right? So then finally, the one time the Brahmaji, when he's austerity, he says, okay, let us go and just meet him. And when they go and find him, he's doing the austerity. And Brahmaji gave him the darshan. And after darshan, he was very happy, very ecstatic that Brahmaji is pleased. He bows down to Brahmaji, offers his obeisances to Brahmaji. And after that, he says, okay, Brahmaji asked that, what do you want? So then he let the cat out of the bag. Intention of his austerity, why he is doing austerity. So yes, devotees also do the austerities and demons also do the austerities. But for what purpose? What is the intention behind? So we can understand from their intentions that is a devotee or is a demon. So he asked, when Brahmaji asked him for the benediction, he says this, Nandar bahir devanaktam anyasmadapicha yudai na bhumau nambare mratyur na nare na mrgerapi. So he says that give me the benediction that I'll not die within the residence or outside the residence, or in the daytime or in the nighttime, or in the ground or in the sky. Grant me that my death not be brought by any being other than those created by you, nor by any weapon, nor by any human being or animal. So he's very intelligent in doing calculation. Right. So first he asked that give me the benediction of deathlessness. Brahmaji says, I myself is not Amar. How can I give? So immediately he calculated. And then he asked all of this. Says, nobody should be able to kill me. So these people, these demons, actually they forget that how much ever smart you try to become, you cannot escape the death. Right? Even the most powerful person cannot wrestle with death. The most intelligent person cannot debate with death. The most attractive person cannot charm the death personified. Death is inevitable. Prabhupada says, as sure as death, nobody can escape death. The demons are like that. They forget. and one day we had to die. And he forgot his own son. His own brother was killed by the Supreme Lord. So he's thinking, if I become powerful, then I'll be protected. But they don't understand. What they forget is, Lord, it is very easy to kill someone. How his brother was killed? Hiranyaksha. How he was killed was, Varadev gave him one slap. That's all. And he would die. So that much power Lord needs to kill a powerful demon. But he is thinking, I'll become powerful, and nobody can harm me, no one can kill me. So anyway, he asked all these benedictions, and then he thought that, okay, I am most powerful, nobody can hurt me. Right? So he asked all of these benedictions, and then Hiranyakashipu's power is being explained, that how powerful he became with all this austerity. So his power was unparalleled. Nobody could ever imagine this kind of powers. So he conquered all the direction and planets in all the three worlds. He resided in the heavenly planets, and all the demigods, he controlled all the demigods. They became his domestic servants. Like whatever he will say, the demigods has to follow. All the Devatas, big Devatas, including Indra, Chandra, Varuna, and everyone. And everyone was just offering prayers to him. So that was his power. So he got the control over all the directions. That was his power. Right? And then earth will produce abundant food. Whatever he wants, earth has to produce. There's no system of seasons. And okay, in this season, this food will come. Anytime he desires, earth will produce. So like that, he got a lot of powers. But now, interestingly, we can read all of those things. But the important point to note is, despite all this power, all this control, the consciousness, the status of Hiranyakashipu has been explained in the Bhagavatam. So it is this verse. Sattam nirjita kakub ekarada vishayan priya yadopajosham bhanjano natrapyad ajitendriyaha. So that is his status. Despite all the power, what is happening with him? Natrapyad, he is not satisfied. Ajitendriyaha. Why is he not satisfied? Because his indriyas, his senses are not controlled. So that is what is we should learn. So uncontrolled senses, the result in dissatisfaction. Despite being the most powerful person in the whole creation, still he is not satisfied and happy. Why? Because his senses are uncontrolled. So the person whose senses are uncontrolled, he cannot be happy and satisfied by the entirety of three worlds. If you make him the king of the whole three planets, still he cannot be happy and satisfied. That is the nature of the uncontrolled senses. So the question should be asked, what is success? Because in this material world, people talk about being successful. What is success? People think success means to get all your desires fulfilled. Whatever you want, you should get that. Then you are seen as a successful person. But as per the standard of Bhagavatam, success is not about fulfilling all your desires. Rather, success is considered at if you can control just one desire. That itself is a big challenge. So there's such a powerful demon with all the powers, he couldn't control his senses. He couldn't control his mind. So controlling the senses, controlling the mind, controlling the desires to enjoy independently, if we can do that, that is considered success. Not that getting all the desires fulfilled is success. That is not success. Many people can do that. But controlling the desires, which keep rising all the time in the mind, that is a very difficult job. So that is the definition of success in the Bhagavatam. So his experience is described here. Okay. So when he was doing all this, and all the demigods, they were really getting perturbed, disturbed. So they say, Brahmaji, let us do something about this. So Brahmaji says, I can't also help. Let us go to the Supreme Lord. And they go to the Supreme Lord and they pray to the Lord. Say, Lord, you should only come and intervene, and then something can happen to this demon. It's creating a lot of disturbance to the whole creation. Everybody is, tortured in the whole creation. So please come and do something. So Lord says, all the good fortune unto all of you, devotees, dear Devatas, but you should wait for my intervention. I'll come. So he says, when you would come? There's already so much of distance being created in the universe. So what you're waiting? Why? What you're asking us to wait for? So he says, I'll come. This is the verse. Nirvairaya prashantaya sasataya mahatmane peraradaya yada durhet dhanishepi varorjitam. So he says that I'll come when this Hiranyakashipu, he will torture his own son, who is one of my greatest devotee. So I can tolerate a lot, but I cannot tolerate when somebody tortures my devotee, create disturbance to my devotee. So till that time, you wait when this Hiranyakashipu will create disturbance to my devotee. So the takeaway is Krishna doesn't. Sorry, one second. Yeah. So this is the takeaway. Krishna doesn't act as per a timeline. So sometime we go to the temple, might be very anxious about certain things. Now we're chanting now nicely, coming to all the sessions. We're reading Bhagavad Gita also. We become wonderful devotees. Please do this. Get me one job. Get me one big house. Get me this. Get me that. Krishna says, I can give whatever benediction you want. But how and when Krishna will give, you cannot dictate Krishna. Especially when we ask for protection from Krishna. That Krishna, so many things are going on, some health issues, some relational issues, some other issues, right? Krishna, please protect. Krishna says, I'll protect. Name bhaktya pranashyati kontaya pratijani. Krishna gives the assurance in the Bhagavad Gita that my devotee never perishes. I always give the protections. Sometimes devotees, get bewildered if we don't read the Bhagavatam like this. And you say, Krishna said, I'll protect. He's not protecting only. My problems, my situations are getting worse and worse. When he will protect? Right? So Krishna doesn't act as per our timeline. Krishna has his own plans. So Krishna's plan is when this Hiranyakashipu will start torturing Prahlad Maharaj, who is a great devotee. That is when I'll come and I'll finish this guy. Right? So now qualities of Prahlad Maharaj has been explained, that how wonderful devotee he is. So I just summarize, it's a series of verses. So he is having the wonderful character, control of his mind and senses. He's kind to everyone, he's friend to everyone, his well-wisher, is kind to the poor like a father. So these are all the different characteristics of a great devotee. And they always have the concern for others, they have the compassion for others, right? They're not selfish people. And then he is affectionate to equals, like brothers, and respectful to gurus, seeing them as good as the Lord. So these are some of the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. So such a wonderful devotee. And then what is happening, we'll see here. And there's so many other qualities being explained. So you can take the screenshot later. You can read from the Bhagavatam. So this is what has been explained as Prahlad Maharaj, his absorption in Krishna, and then absorption in Krishna, disinterest in externals. So sometimes people say, oh, Prabhuji, I have this habit, that habit. How to come out from the bad habits, bad desires, bad intentions? Solution is here in the Bhagavatam. If we can learn how to absorb our consciousness in Krishna, then all your negative thoughts, all the negativities will automatically just wipe off. It will just dissolve. So Prahlad Maharaj is like completely pure personality. Right? So then all this was going on. Prahlad Maharaj, small boy, he was sent to the Gurukul. And when he was studying there in the Gurukul, under the guidance of two teachers, Shanda and Amarka, they're the teachers. They're the disciples of Shukracharya. Shukracharya is the guru for the demons, Datya Guru. Right? So the disciples of Shanda and Amarka. So one time, Prahlad Maharaj, during his vacations, he came home. And then his father, Hiranyakashipu, he was very curious and very affectionate, being very affectionate to his son. He asked him, Prahlad Maharaj, that, my dear boy, what did you learn in your school? Sometimes parents ask, right? And the small child will say, okay, I learned A, B, C, D, something like that. And they don't expect like very mature answer, something like that. They just want to converse with the small boy like that. So he asked, what did you learn? And then Prahlad Maharaj answered this. He never expected this kind of answer. So Prahlad Maharaj says, Tasadu manne asurvarya dehinam sada samudvegna dhyam asadgrahat hitvatmapatam grahamandakupam vanam gado yadarimashrayetha. So this is the answer of Prahlad Maharaj. What is the meaning? He says, Tat sadhu manne. So he asked that, what did you learn in your school? He's saying, Tat sadhu manne. What is the best? Sadhu means the best. So what best I learned in my school is, oh Asurya Varya. So he's addressing his father as greatest of the Asura, Asurya Var. So what I have learned is that Sada Samudvigna Dhyam Asat Grahat. If you accept Asat, Asat means Sat means the truth, the absolute truth. If you accept the untruth, which is not truth, then your life becomes some Udvigna. Udvigna means always you are agitated. If you take the shelter of Asat, what is Asat? What is Sat? Question should be asked. What is Sat? There's only one Sat. There's only one truth, which is the Supreme Lord. All of us and everything is Asat in this material world. We think, oh, this is my family, this is my husband, wife, I'm a big engineer, I'm a big doctor, I'm a billionaire, millionaire. It is all untruth. It's not truth. This is all temporary. But there is one Sat. So he says, Asat Grahat. If somebody accepts Asat, then he'll always be Sada Samudvigna Dhyam. Will always be agitated. So my suggestion to you, my dear father, Asurvar, he says, Itvat Patam Graham Andakupam. This Graham Andakupam. Graham means this materialistic way of life, which is equal to like Andakupam, like a dark blind well. So all this, Itvatma Patam should immediately give up all this materialistic way of life, where it's like a dark well. So give up all this materialistic life. And then what you should do is Vanam Gato, go to the forest. And then what you will do in the forest? Yadam Yadi Harim Ashrayeda. Take the shelter of Lord Hari. Now this 5-year-old boy is giving this suggestion to his father, who was the greatest demon and was the greatest enemy. He considered the Supreme Lord Hari as greatest enemy. And he is so fearless, this small boy is giving this. So this Hiranyakashipu was perturbed. He says, from where you are learning all this? This is what you are learning in your school? Call all these teachers, right? So he called the teachers, and then, when these teachers comes and he says, you should be a little careful. Looks like some enemies are entering into your school in disguise. All these devotees, especially this Narad Muni and all that, they keep traveling. Sometime in disguise they enter and they start their own classes there. Bhagavad Gita or Gita life classes secretly in the school, in the demons school, right? So be a little extra cautious. Maybe just, increase your security guards there and be a little careful. So okay, we'll take care of this. So they goes back and they talks to this Prahlad, the teachers. So from where you're learning all of this? We never taught you all this. So from where you're learning and you have so much of attraction and affection for this Lord Hari, from where you're getting this, right? So what Prahlad Maharaj explains, very, very significant verse. The constitutional position of the living entity. What is our constitutional position? Prahlad Maharaj says, Yata brahmyadyayo brahman swayam akarsha sannidho tatha me vidyate chetas chakrapane yadrachaya. So he's saying, oh Brahmanas, teachers, as iron attracted by a magnetic stones moves automatically toward the magnet, my consciousness having been changed by his will is attracted by Lord Vishnu, who is Chakrapane, who carries the disc in the hand. So what he's saying is, this is very natural for all of us to have the attraction for the Supreme Lord. Like the iron particles get attracted towards the magnet. So magnet, the iron particles, they need not to learn that how to get attracted to the magnet. It is natural. Similarly, it is natural for a living entity to get attracted to the Supreme Lord. Now, question is, if that is natural, but we are not attracted to the Supreme Lord, we are attracted to so many things in this material world. So then how to understand, how to reconcile it? Yes, iron particles can attracted to the magnet, but sometimes the iron pieces, they get rusted. And there's a lot of rust. Then that attraction, that doesn't get attracted. So similarly, the living entities, being a soul, the pure soul, we're naturally attracted toward the Supreme Lord. But when we comes in this material world, we get rusted. What is that rust? That rust is the rust of lust. Rust of lust. Lust means the desire to enjoy independence from the Lord. So when the living entity develops a lot of desire to enjoy independence, then we lose the attraction for the Supreme Lord. That is how it is. So when he was talking, they were teaching him and they started training him into all this worldly education. And they thought, okay, the child is growing up, is becoming more mature, learning well. So now another vacation, he goes back again, this time, summer vacations. For it was spring, he comes in summer. And then again, Prahlad Maharaj was called. He was given a nice bath, put the new the garments and nicely decorated by the mother. And the father took the small child in the lap, very affectionate, out of affection, there was tears in his eyes. So, okay, my dear boy, tell me, what did you learn? This time, what he answers? Very famous verse from the Bhagavatam. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Pada Sevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dashyam, Sakyam Atma Nivedanam, Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu Bhakti Chenava Lakshana, Kriyate Bhagavati Yadda Tanmanya Didam Uttamam. So he says, what I consider is Uttamam, the best what I have learned is this. What he has learned? Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Says one should do Shravan about Vishnu, Kirtan about Vishnu, and Smarana also about Vishnu. Who is this Vishnu? Hiranyakashipu's greatest enemy. And he's telling him that you should always glorify him, talk about him, listen about him, remember him. And then Smaranam Pada Sevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dashyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. So this is famous as Navada Bhakti. 9 limbs of devotional service. 9 different ways of doing seva to the Lord. Very, very famous verse from the Bhagavatam. So how one can do seva to the Lord? You can do the seva in one of these 9 ways. Just by hearing about Lord, you can serve the Lord. Just by glorifying the Lord. Glorifying means you hear something, Krishna Katha, you go and tell others. Same story. That is Kirtanam. Or you chant Hare Krishna mantra. That is Kirtanam. And when we do the Kirtan, you participate in the Kirtan. And then by doing all this Shravan and Kirtan, Smaran will come. You will remember the Lord. And like that he explains. So he says, Bhakti Chenava Lakshana. This is the 9 kinds of bhaktis. And then Manye Aditam Uttamam. I consider this the best thing to learn. So this time this Hiranyakashipu was furious. He was hissing like a snake. And his anger, his eyes became red. And then he was, biting his lips out of anger. He says, what is this? So what he did, he just threw the child off the lap. And he says, from where he is learning all this nonsense, take him away immediately. Right? And then he asked that, from where you are learning all of this? So then Prahlad Maharaj goes further explaining, what is this? What is Vishnu? From where you are getting all this attraction? And then Prahlad Maharaj says this, Matirna Krishna Bharito Satova Mito Vipadyet Graha Vrithanaham Adanta Govir Vishadam Damishram Puna Punakshar Vidacharvananam. So he's saying that, my dear father, it is very difficult for you to understand how I'm learning all this. Matirna Krishna, nobody can get this mati of Krishna. Krishna mati. Parato Satova. Either Swato means by your own self. Parato means if somebody try to help. Or Mitho Pipadyet. Or it's a combined efforts of so many things. One cannot have this Krishna mati. Who cannot have? Adanta Govir Visitam Damishram. Who is too much having uncontrolled senses. Puna Puna Charvita Charvananam. Who is engaged in chewing the chewed. Means enjoying the sense gratification again and again. Chewing the chewed means, like sometimes some people, they, chew the sugar cane. But chewing, there's no juice in that. And if somebody try to chew it again, there's no taste. Similarly, in this material world, people are just running after the material sense gratification. They get frustrated. Oh, there was no maja here. Let me try other way. Let me try other way. So they keep chewing the chewed. There's no maja. So that kind of a person cannot have Krishnamati. So he's telling, my dear father, you cannot learn all this. You can understand how I'm learning all this. Matirna Krishna. And then he explains for that. So these are all very, very famous words. You can take the note of the verse numbers. Somebody is really interested. 7, 5, 30. You can read from the Bhagavatam. Then 31. And there's one more. So these are very, very important words. And Prabhupada quote these verses many, many times. There's a lot of, lessons to learn from this. So he explains further that materialists are ignorant. Right? They're ambitious. They're misled. They're entangled. So he says, Nate vidu swarth gatim hi Vishnu. So ignorant means they don't know what is the real swarth, what is the real goal of life, which is Vishnu. So they're ignorant. Then Durashaya ye bahirarthamanina. So they're very, very ambitious, all these materialistic people. Being ambitious to enjoy material world, they consider sense objects valuable. And then Andha yathander upaniyamanas. They're misled. They're andha. They're blind people. As blind man, which is a bogus guru led by another blind man, fall into ditch. This is how the materialistic people are. Tepi shitantra murudhamni baddha. They're entangled, strongly bound by ropes of material nature and suffer threefold miseries. So the whole life of a materialistic person has been explained here, right? So we discussed about this rust of lust. Now, how to remove this lust? So there is a rust of lust, but how to remove the lust? By the dust. So remember all these keywords, right? That has been explained in the next verse. If we want to become free from all these materialistic desires, what is the solution? Solution is smear the dust. Now you might be wondering, what is the dust we have to smear? That has been explained. Nesha madistava darukramangrim sparshate anartho begamo yadarthaha mahiyasamba nirajo bhishekam niskinchananam nabranit yavat. So it says mahiyasham padarajo bhishekam. Padarajo means the dust from the lotus feet of mahiyasam, the great devotees. Somebody take the dust off from the lotus feet of the great devotees, put on your head. That will purify your materialistic, inclinations. That is the solution. And when this materialistic covering has been removed by the dust of the pure devotee, then we get attracted toward the Supreme Lord. Right? So that is how he explains. So when he explains all of this, Hiranyakashipu was furious. He says, kill this boy. And then all these demons. So you can see here, in so many different ways, they try to kill this small boy. They're throwing him beneath the feet of big elephants, throwing him among huge snakes, and then top of the hill they're just throwing him, and using some illusory tricks, imprisoning him, giving him poison, starving him, and all kinds of things. And all this failed. Hiranyakashipu was in great anxiety about what to do next. He attempted all his power. So this is the nature of the mental power. So what is happening, we need to understand very carefully. This Hiranyakashipu is very, very powerful. Everybody is under his control. The whole universe, including all big, big demigods, except one person. Who is that one person? His own son. So this is the nature of this materialistic ambition. You got 99% things right. Just 1% did not accept your authority and is becoming anxious. So this is the nature of the false ego. So this Hiranyakashipu, now we might be wondering, we are talking about Hiranyakashipu long back in Satyuga. We should very carefully understand. Yes, of course, Hiranyakashipu was there, but Hiranyakashipu is there even today. Where is? He's all sitting inside us in the form of false ego. A desire to control over, desire to control others. If nobody, comes under my control or that differs in opinion, immediately I become furious. I become anxious. So this is what the Hiranyakashipu is showing the symptoms here. So whole world is under his control except this 1 5-year-old boy. He should be happy, let him go and do whatever he wants to do. But he's not happy. That is the nature of false ego. You cannot accept somebody is not, agreeing in my opinion. That is the nature of this false ego. So then somehow this, two teachers, they pacify Hiranyakashipu. They say, don't worry, don't become furious. We'll take him back to school and we'll train him again further. We'll teach him and we'll figure out something. So then Prahlad Maharaj goes back, but his devotion to the Lord is increasing more and more. As he's growing up, his devotion is also growing. So similarly, we all celebrate our birthdays, right? Birthdays means we all grow up. But our devotion also grow. Not simply physically we are growing. Our hairs are growing and they're becoming graying from black to gray, right? All of that will happen automatically. But our devotion should also grow. So in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, it is all happening. So he goes back to the school, and now because there's too much of that, then naturally what happens? It just spill out. Somebody is filled with something. Prahlad Maharaj is filled with devotion. It is spilling out. So what he's doing is he's sharing and he's teaching and preaching to his schoolmates. So he's not just stopping that, okay, I'm happy and satisfied. He's just sharing with others. So all that, he's in a school of demons. So everyone is the son of demons there, right? A lot of sons of demons, and he's preaching them. So this chapter, the 6th chapter, is about the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. Wonderful teachings, but I'll just selectively talk few of them here. So he explained the first thing, very, very important. The first lesson of Prahlad Maharaj is human life is very, very rare. Shri Prahlada Vacha. Kaumaramachret pragno dharman bhagavatanihya durlabam manusham janma tadapi adrumam arthadam. So it says, this durlabam manusham janma, this manusha jivan, very, very durlab. It's very rare. So what we should do is, Kaumaram achret pragno. Right from the beginning, the child should be trained. People say that, okay, this is not the time to practice all this, chanting and Bhagavad Gita and all that. Once we are retired, what we'll do? We'll chant only. What Prahlad Maharaj is saying, from the age of Kaumara. Kaumara means 5-year-old. He should start training the child, imparting this knowledge. Right? So you see a lot of kids comes here, all small kids in a temple, Sunday school. Very, very fortunate kids. And they have been learning and getting trained in this kind of a, knowledge. They're very, very fortunate, blessed kids. That is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. That this is what one should do. And then he explains further. He says that every human being, he must do devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord. Vishnu Pador Pasarpanam. Human life is meant only for one purpose, which is rendering devotional service. So we should not miss. Prahlad Maharaj further explains that human life, the duration of human life, how our human life is misused. He gave the whole description of our 100 years. What happens? Out of 100 years, many people are very fond of sleeping. They sleep 12 hours. That also needs some special skill. Everybody cannot sleep. Some people are cursed also. They don't get sufficient sleep also. But if somebody is sleeping like 12 hours, then 50 years of life is gone in sleeping only. Right? And 20 years in childhood and sporting. Later 20 years in old age and invalid. So out of 50, 20, 20. And remaining hardly 10 years. We think like we have a lot of time. Right? That is illusion. And Maya create that illusion. So we'll do tomorrow, we'll do next week, we'll do next month. We're going to India. Once we come back, then we'll start chanting. We have hundreds of reasons for not doing. But read Bhagavatam and you should have one reason. That anything, any time, anything can happen. Right? Padam padam yad vipadam nadesham, as the Bhagavatam explained. There is a danger at every step. We don't know what is next. And we plan for future. So this is our life is. And hardly there are few years that also people spend the time in family attachments. This is how human life is being misused. So Prahlad Maharaj talks about that. He says human life should be utilized only for devotional service to the Lord. Right? So thus one wastes one's human life without taking interest in devotional service. Thus at the time of death, one transferred into another material body. Therefore a life of lusty desires and sense gratification is extremely risky. So this is the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. Okay, so when Prahlad Maharaj is teaching all of this, and all his classmates, they became curious. And Prahlad Maharaj, all the time you are here in the school along with us. From where you are learning all these big things you're talking, all nice stuff? Who's teaching you all this? So Prahlad Maharaj explained that how did he learn? So we'll get into the story quickly, small story. And Prahlad Maharaj says, I learned all this knowledge from whom he learned? Narad Muni. How he learned? So all the demigods, when this Hiranyakashipu initially, when he went for performing the austerities, so then all the demigods were a little concerned because this Hiranyakashipu was a powerful demon, and then wife was pregnant. So he thought one more demon will come. So let us kidnap the wife of Hiranyakashipu and kill child in the womb. So that's kidnapped the wife, Skayadu, Hiranyakashipu's wife, the demigod, they kidnapped her. That is when this Narad Muni intervened. He said, don't kill her. there is actually in the womb of this lady, there is a great devotee. It's Lord's plan. So then Narad Muni took the Kayadu to her own ashram, to his own ashram, and then said that you should stay under my shelter and my protection. And then Narad Muni every day he would talk about Krishna Katha. So what was happening is Prahlad Maharaj was in the womb, the child, and he was listening all this Bhagavad Katha in the womb of mother, as a child. So it's very, very important for many of younger mothers. Sometime when the mother is pregnant, what should be the consciousness? What should be the consumption? So nowadays what happens, they take some leaves when they're pregnant, maternity leaves and all that. What they will do, whole day sitting at home, watch the TV, Netflix, YouTube, all kinds of series, varieties of series. So it directly impacts the consciousness of the child. So we learn from all this. So this Narad Muni was narrating all this story, and the child is learning all this, and as a result of that, the child came out as a great devotee. So the child became a great devotee, not Kayadu. That is also interesting to note. How come? Why Kayadu is not celebrated as a great devotee? She was listening, but she was not paying attention. So many people listen in the class, might be thinking, Prabhuji, when you will end? Possible. So not paying attention. Prabhuji, you are already started feeling hungry. What is there in the prasadam today? What is the menu? It might go on. All right. So though you are sitting, listening, hearing everything, but you might be thinking you're not paying attention. So the Kayadu, it has been explained, she's not paying attention to the details. But Prahlad Maharaj was very carefully, very attentively listening. Right? So we should learn how to listen all these discussions with great attention in great detail. So nowadays, the biggest problem in this modern age is a lot of distraction, multitasking. There's actually, like scientifically also, it is proven now, there's nothing called multitasking, something called, what they call it, task switching. So we think we are doing multitasking, but nobody can do the multitask. We are not designed. We are not wired to do the multitask. So either you can do one thing or you switch the task, you do the another thing. You might be thinking, oh, I'm listening to the class also and I'm doing my work also. So actually you are doing one thing only. Either you are listening or either you are doing your work. So then you miss out all the details and then there's no result. This is what happens. Kayadu remains like that and Prahlad Maharaj became wonderful devotee. So he is giving the background that how did Prahlad Maharaj learn all this knowledge from Narad Muni. Okay, we'll just quickly go and then complete our discussion here. So then Prahlad Maharaj explains that the source of everyone's strength is the Supreme Lord. So later when Hiranyakashipu encountered him, because he did not learn, and Hiranyakashipu decided that I had to personally intervene and I had to kill this Prahlad, and he says, I'm just amazed to see that you are becoming so fearless. From where you're getting this strength, this confidence? Prahlad Maharaj says, the source of my strength is the same as source of your strength. You're also getting from the Supreme Lord. I'm also getting from the Supreme Lord. The difference is you're not recognizing this. I'm recognizing it. That's the difference between the demon and a devotee. The demons cannot survive without the blessings of the Lord, but they want to be independent from the Lord. That is what made them demons. Devotee, they always remember the Lord. For everything, Stavara Jangam dekhe, na dekhe tara murti. So devotee means he doesn't see anything without connection of Krishna. Whatever he sees, he always finds the connection of Krishna. Okay, so now this is what is the Hiranyakashipu's problem is that he's saying, oh most unfortunate Prahlad, you have always described a supreme being other than me, a supreme being who is above everything, who is a controller of everything, who is all pervading. But where is he? He is everywhere, then why is not present before me in this pillar? So he is not able to see. He asked Prahlad Maharaj, where is your Lord? He's here, he's here. He says he is everywhere. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastha. That is the description and that is the vision of a devotee. He sees the Supreme Lord in each and every particle of the creation. But demons cannot see. They're blinded by their own false ego. So he says, where is your Lord? So he tied the Prahlad Maharaj on the pillar. Says, is your Lord here? Where is your Supreme Lord? Let me see. Right? And then he says, yes, my Lord is here. So he punched, because he was a powerful demon, He says, okay, let me see, where is your Lord sitting in the pillar? So he kicked and punched the, this pillar, and there was a tumultuous sound as if the whole entire universe is cracking. And they couldn't figure out that from where the sound is coming. And that is where the Narasimha appears here. So this is the Supreme Lord. So Lord's appearance is here. Satyam Vidatum Nijabratya Bhashitam Vyaptim Chabhuteshu Kaleshu Chatmana Adrashyatad Rupam Udvahan Stambe Sabhayam Namagam Namanusham. So Hiranyakashipu, when he punched, Narasimha comes out from that pillar. Why he comes, that has been explained. Why Lord Narasimha comes. So he says, Satyam Vidatum Nijabratya Bhashitam. Why Lord took this particular specific form of Narasimha, which is Adrashyata Api Adbhut Rupam. That form which is Adrashyata, it has not been seen before ever in the history. No one has seen this form. And this form is not ordinary, it is Ati Adbhut form. So why Lord takes this form? Satyam Vidatum Nijabratya Bhashitam. To keep the words of his own devotees. Nijabratya means his own devotees. Bhashitam. The devotees speak something, and Lord makes sure that their statement should not go wrong. So it can be spoken in three contexts here. The Prahlad Maharaj says, my Lord is here. So as to keep his words, Lord has to come out from here only. Number one. Another one is Brahmaji. So Brahmaji gave the benediction to Hiranyakashipu that okay, he will not be killed by any human being or an animal. So to keep his words intact, Lord has to take this specific form. Right? So that is what he's saying. This words, Nijabhratya Bhashitam, to keep the words of his own devotees, Lord takes this specific form. Stambhe Savayam. He comes out in the Sabha from the stamb, from the pillar. And what is this form? Namragam Namanusham. He is not human being and he is not animal. Half man, half lion. Narasimha. So Narasimha comes here, and after coming here, there's a fight, and the Lord kills the Hiranyakashipu. So Lord appears like in the morning or in the afternoon time, but there is a fight going on between the Lord and the Hiranyakashipu till evening. Why taking so long? Because Hiranyakashipu is very powerful, right? Hiranyakashipu is not powerful. For Lord to kill Hiranyakashipu, this one touch is enough. But to keep the words of Brahmaji, that he should not be killed in the morning, in the daytime, or in the night time. So Lord is waiting for the right time. So what is that right time? Sandhyagal. It's a junction of the day and the night. So it's not day, it's not night also. So he was killed around this time. So we are at the right time, we are discussing this. So Hiranyakashipu was killed around this time, the Sandhyagal. All right. So what we learn from all this story, anyway, I did like in a very short. So last year we did this. We did like for 3 days. So today we just did like very short because we don't have much time. So what we need to understand is this Hiranyakashipu was a representation of false ego. All right. So this false ego cannot be killed in the daytime, in the night time, by human being or by animal, by any weapon, or inside or outside. It cannot be killed unless Lord intervenes. So if we want to kill this Hiranyakashipu who is sitting inside, we have to invite the Lord into our heart. Lord will come and kill Hiranyakashipu. So that is the whole idea of listening and discussing and reading this pastime, to recognize. So when we read these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, then we understand, oh, this is not the story of someone, it is my story. This is how the scriptures are. The scriptures are like, they show you the mirror. So when you read, you start feeling like it looks like they're talking about me. Right? Ego, lust, anger, trying to control others, and all of this. So we are no less than Hiranyakashipu, tiny Hiranyakashipus. How to kill? Lord has to appear. So we had to invite the Lord. And how do we invite the Lord? How do we invoke the Lord? By chanting the Lord's holy name in Kali Yuga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this fight goes on, in short, and then Lord was also taking the pleasure. That was Lord's desire to have that rasa, Virya rasa. No, who can fight with the Lord? Who can give him the, fight like that. So he wanted to choose. He chose Jayan Vijay. He comes in the form of Hiranyakashipu, and then he is enjoying the dress of fighting. And finally, Lord kills Hiranyakashipu, and then Hiranyakashipu sit on the throne. The Narasimha sit on the throne of Hiranyakashipu, very, very furious. He was very angry. He was so angry that the fire was emanating from his mouth. Like generally, when we get anger, your body gets heated up, right? But not like the fire emanates. We don't have that much anger also. We are tiny in every aspect. All right. And Lord is unlimited in every aspect. When he shows the anger also, he shows the anger also unlimitedly. So his anger was like fire, literal fire was emanating from his mouth. And then all Brahmaji, Lord Shiva, Lakshmiji, all the demigods, they assembled, they're furious. They're scared. That we have never seen this form of the Lord, Supreme Lord. He's generally very pleasing, very kind, merciful, but he is very fearsome form. So what to do? How to pacify him? So people are saying, Brahmaji, please go. Brahmaji says, no, I'm scared of this form. Then they're just, pointing out Lakshmiji. You go, you are the consort of the Supreme Lord. Lakshmiji says, yes, he is my Lord, but I have never seen this kind of form of the Lord. So I'm scared of this form. And everybody's talking, nobody's any clue. And then finally they found that whole crowd, this one person who was standing very peacefully, unagitated, with a lot of love and devotion, looking at the beauty of the Lord. Who was that person? Prahlad. He says, we should send Prahlad. So he goes, Brahmaji goes, Prahlad, you should go. And Prahlad Maharaj, he says, I am such a tiny, insignificant boy. You are all big personalities. If you are not able to pacify the Supreme Lord, what do you expect from me to pacify him? So Prabhupada explained that Prahlad Maharaj is trying to become very, very humble. That is the nature of a devotee. Though he is capable of doing a lot of things, but he never takes pride. Because in this material world, it is not easy to give up that recognition. Right? When you get every single opportunity to be recognized by others, immediately person jump up. Say, yes, I did that. Nobody could. Brahmaji, Shiva, Lakshmiji, look at this. Prahlad, I could do this. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, no, I'm very, very insignificant. So that is how a devotee should be. Though if we are able to do some service for the Lord, we should not feel that, oh, I'm so special. Because this is the tendency. So anartha, to feel the importance, to feel that, to seek that recognition, that appreciation, that glorification from others. Right? So Prahlad Maharaj is teaching. So Prahlad Maharaj goes there close to the Lord, and what he did? To pacify the Lord? How to pacify the Lord? Such a fearful Lord, emitting fire. So what he did is, he took one garland and put the garland with love and devotion. The Lord was cooled down. That's all it takes. All right. So Lord can be controlled by your devotion. That is how the Bhagavatam explains, Ajito Pijito, Tralokyam. The Supreme Lord, his name is Ajita. Ajita means who is unconquerable. Nobody can conquer of the Supreme Lord, but devotee can conquer the Lord with his devotion. Right. And so Lord is ready to sold to his devotee, his devotion. So the Prahlad Maharaj put the garland and Lord is cool. Right. So, and then this, you read the description, but not he was just cooled down, but he was feeling ecstatic. Who is feeling ecstatic? Generally, we find the description by seeing the beautiful form of Krishna, beautiful form of the Lord, the devotee feel ecstasy. Here in this case, Narasimha is feeling ecstasy by seeing the devotion of Prahlad Maharaj. So that was the level of his devotion. Right? And then he was pacified, and then finally he asked that, my dear Prahlad, I'm very, very pleased with your devotion. So please ask what you want. So what are the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj? So you can read the 9th chapter of 7th canto, prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. We have been reading those prayers. If somebody wants to join, this Sunday morning, we started from last Sunday, 9 o'clock, we have a call. 1 hour we read from the Bhagavatam. So devotees can join us for reading that. So beautiful prayers. I'll just take 1 or 2 prayers so we understand that how we should pray and what we should pray. So Prahlad Maharaj, first of all, say, Lord, I'm not a vanik. Vanik means I'm not a businessman. That I gave you something, now you give me something. No, I don't want to have any relationship with you like a businessman. I don't want anything. But if you are insisting me so much, then I pray that my father, Hiranyakashipu, he was so envious, he was so abusive, always he was, talking ill about you. So the only benediction, if you want to give me, offer me something, then I pray, please forgive all the offenses of my father. So that is his prayer. And in response, the Supreme Lord says, my dear Prahlad, don't worry about your father, because you are such a great devotee born in that family, in that kul. So not only your father, but 21 generations has been already liberated. So that is the assurance the Lord gives, because Prahlad is a great and the pure devotee of the Lord. So anyone who becomes, so sometimes people talk about doing something good to family. What good we can do? We have a lot of ideas to do something good. Oh, we have to make a big house for them. They're staying in a village. Bring them to America, get them green card. We can do all of those things, right? But there's nothing great about that. Because in the due course, what happens? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, they'll become old and everyone will die. So how much ever you try to give them good, you give them some good, nice jewelry, nice saris, nice something. Nothing helps. What good you can do? You become a great devotee of the Lord. And just by we becoming the great devotee of the Lord, all our fathers and the forefathers in 21 generation will be liberated. That is the assurance. So that is the real good that one can do to his family also. And the Prahlad Maharaj, he offers a lot of prayers. So as I said, we are reading from the Bhagavatam. So you can see, this is another very important prayer. Everything is important, but because of short of time, I'm just selectively reading. So it says, Balasyanehe sharanam vidaro Narasimha Nardasya chagdam mudanvanti majjatona taptasya tat pratividhir ya ihyanj sayastas tavat vibodhanu mritam tadupekshidhanam. So it's a very important lesson. He says, Tad upekshidanam, if Lord rejects someone, upekshida, then nobody can protect. Mare Krishna rakhe ke, rakhe Krishna mare ke. Krishna protects someone, nobody can harm. But if Krishna rejects someone, nobody can protect that. So the examples are given, like a small child being under the careful protection of the parents, still he falls sick and sometimes he dies. It happens. Even the doctors, despite giving all the good treatment, patient doesn't survive. The person being in the boat in the ocean, still he can drown and he can die. So who protects? Who protects is the Supreme Lord. But if Lord rejects that upekshidanam, then nobody can protect. So that is the lesson that we are learning from Prahlad Maharaj. And finally, this is the last verse for the day. We'll close with this. So that he asked that, okay, my dear Lord, you're insisting me too much to ask something. So okay, let me ask here. So Prahlad Maharaj finally asked something. What he asked. Very, very important lesson for all of us. Remember this one verse. You will learn how to pray to the Lord. So it says, Yadi dashyasi me kaman varam stham varadarshava kamanam hridhi samroham vavatastu pranayevaram. So he says, oh my dear Lord, you are varadarshava, you are expert in giving var, benedictions. So the best of the givers of the benediction, if you at all want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your lordships that within the core of my heart, there be no material desires. That is the prayer that one should offer to the Lord. It happens the other way around for most of the people. When we go with a long list. I want this, tick mark, check mark, follow up. All of that happens. But Prahlad Maharaj is saying that within the core of my heart is no material desires. That is the real success, as we discussed earlier. What is success? Success is not about getting your 100 desires fulfilled. But the real success is if you can get over of just one desire. That is the real success. So that comes by this kind of prayer. And within the core of my heart, there will be no material desires. So with this, we'll stop here. There's a lot more to discuss. I did it in very brief because the 10 chapters of Bhagavatam cannot be discussed in 1 or 1.5 hours. So I'm hoping and assuming that I justified what we discussed today and hope it benefits all of us. We can remember some of the lessons and we can implement them and we can contemplate and take the inspiration from this great devotee Prahlad Maharaj. Though a small boy, but devotion is extremely high. So that is what we can pray on such occasions like Narasimha Jayanti, which is on the 4th of May, Thursday. When we come on this occasion, this is Lord's Appearance Day. So we should pray that Lord, please bless all of us to bestow the childlike innocent devotion or innocent faith like Prahlad Maharaj. He was so faithful. So Lord is there, he'll protect. He's not worried. We do calculation. What if something doesn't happen? So we should make some backup plan also. Yeah, Lord is there. He will do something. But in case, what if he forgets? He's busy. Something goes wrong. He miss out the date, miss out the time. He miss out me. So many devotees are there. So much of calculation goes. This is the lack of Shraddha, lack of faith. But we learn from this story that Prahlad Maharaj has such an innocent faith. He is not worried. He is not fearful. So my Lord will protect me. And Lord protected. So why Lord doesn't protect sometime to us? Because we have our own ideas of protection. So let us pray to Narasimha Jayanti, to Lord Narasimha Dev, that we can also develop such innocent faith, childlike faith in the Lord and Lord's protections, and then develop the devotion. Okay, with this we'll stop here, unless anybody has any quick question or any comment on what we discussed. You can distribute the beats. In the meantime, we'll take some lessons. So questions. Yes.
The demigods also devotees of the Lord, right? When they get tortured by the Hiranyakashipu, why Lord didn't appear immediately? Like if someone his own timeline.
All right. So yes, Lord is his own pastime, that when he would come, that is number one. Another thing is demigods are also devotees, then they're getting disturbed and tortured. The Lord should come and protect them. All right. So yes, Lord, with one arrow, he shoots multiple objects. So he was waiting for the right time to appear, because this has to happen, this pastime has to happen, wherein Hiranyakashipu will be torturing Prahlad, and then he'll challenge him, and then Lord has to come in this particular form. That is one reason. And the demigods are generally, basically, they're not pure devotees. They're great devotees, but they're like Sakam Bhaktas. They still have a lot of desires. But so sometimes Lord, allows those kind of devotees to go through something, to learn more and to become more dependent on the Lord. But when it comes to the pure devotees, Lord doesn't tolerate. He can tolerate. So like that we can understand. Okay, any other questions? There's a lot of devotees joining online. Anybody has any question or any comment? Okay, yes.
Is there any pastime relating how Narasimha Dev disappeared?
Lord leaves there in the Bhagavatam, you will see. After all this specification happens, it's pleased and then it disappears. Like that. Yeah. Okay. So now let us